I'm Corbett Wall with USDA Market News, here with your weekly feeder and stocker cattle market summary for the week ending January the 10th, where compared to the last good test of feeder cattle, which was really all the way back to the week ending December the 20th, before we had the holiday breaks there for Christmas and New Year's. But going all the way back to your last fully tested market, your feeder cattle and calves sold fully $3 to $10 higher, and routinely up to as much as $20 higher in markets all across the country. And just everything on fire this week. Come out in 2014, there was absolutely no holdback over the holidays and really come out of the gate charging. You can keep talking about it, but there's really no superlatives left to try to describe feeder cattle demand. It's just, all we can say is that all classes of feeder cattle and fat cattle, not cows and bulls, but all classes of feeder steers and heifers and slaughter steers and heifers and box beef cutout values based on slaughter animals in that nature, they're all at all-time record highs. All classes of those beef cattle and box beef cutouts are at all-time record highs. And your cutout values just surged past record highs, which the last records we have were in late May for choice boxes. And you would understand that because in late May you're getting ready for grilling season and Memorial Day purchases. But we're in the middle of January right now, and we cruised past those. Choice boxes ended this week at $214.98 and select at $211.58, which are both well past their all-time record highs. Your fat cattle continue to post record highs with each week that passes. In the Southern Plains, they're $2 higher live at $139. Northern Plains still light trading here on Friday, but already had reached $1.40 on over 3,000 head that were known to have traded. And $222 dressed, which is $4 higher in the beef than what we had last week at $218. But your feeder cattle markets, which is what I'm basically here telling you about, are even more active than those markets. It's just inexplicable to tell you how wild some of these feeder cattle and calf markets got this week. And you know, when you're talking to people, everybody keeps trumping the next guy, just depending on when the last time they went to a sale was. And we could talk about markets that would open your eyes all across the country, but I'm going to go all the way to the top one, which you can guess would be in the Sandhills of Nebraska. But at Bassett, Nebraska, this week, it's just, it's hard to believe. They had over 350 head of the top quality 600 to 700 pound steers. They averaged 638 at 211.34. That's what all the six weights average. That's not a stick out deal. Had one load of fancy, they were red hided, but marked fancy 655 pound steers bring 211 even. They had 150 head of the heavy 5-weight steers that were called fancy, two big consignments, or one consignment, but two big ringfuls. But 150 head averaged 581 at 229.41. It's unbelievable how high these cattle are. The 6-weight heifers were even higher on the average than the steers, but we can rationale that a little bit because the bulk of those sold for replacement heifers. So you can reason that a little bit easier than you can the steers, which is why I didn't quote them there. But the 6-weight heifers averaged higher than the 6-weight steers. But it's just hard to believe how high these markets are. If you don't know anything else, you just need to know that everything as far as beef, steers and heifers is at an all-time record high. One reason that helps that, just like in Bassett there, you had farmer feeders. Your feedlots are not blowing their brains out as much on these, but these farmer feeders that's got bins full of cheap corn at home, they're the ones really pushing the market in the Midwest. But your corn fell to nearly a 3.5-year low this week, and really getting down there. But then we come out this Friday morning, with the USDA Crop Production Annual Summary, which kind of winds things up for the year. And we had another lower adjustment of bushels to the acre. They adjusted it down 1.6 bushels to the acre, which ends up at 158.8 bushels to the acre nationwide average for last year's crop. And then they also tweaked up the feed and ethanol usage, which gives us ending stocks from this past year's crop at 1.63 billion bushels, which really doesn't mean anything to me or you probably until you know that that's still 30% more than the same time a year ago. So we're not as short as corn as what we'd been talking to until this past crop came in. Everything was looking good as far as having enough corn, but still, and these Chicago Board of Trade corn futures have just been fledgling lower, but still that was enough spark to make those contracts jump 20 cents there Friday afternoon. Probably not enough to hurt the feeder demand unless it continues, but next week's heavy receipts could. We had light receipts starting this week. We thought we were going to get back to full stream feeder marketing this week, but the weather was so dangerously cold across much of the midsection of the United States. Plus we had some big storms, some ice storms, some snow, like in southern Missouri and places like that, Illinois. So next week, everybody's expecting big runs. We've got stock show specials out in Colorado and western Nebraska. So you can look for a lot of cattle to be coming here, especially next week, but probably for the next 2 or 3 weeks. This week's regional weighted averages in the north central states, a 6 to 7 weight steer on the average would cost you $187.93 compared to $182.21 last week and $160.35 a year ago. Down in the south central states, a 5 to 6 weight steer on the average cost you $196.72 compared to $191.29 last week and $168.21 a year ago. Down in the southeast, a 4 to 5 weight steer cost you $191.85 compared to $180.07 last week and $172 even a year ago. That wraps up your feeder market summary for this week. Check out our website for more market information at marketnews.usda.gov. From the Regional Market News Office in St. Joe, Missouri, we'll talk to you next week.